Vadim Vadimich is a Russian YouTuber who often explores the radioactive remains of Chernobyl, an abandoned power plant that went into meltdown during the 1980s. On this journey, he and his friends find an abandoned daycare center that seems quite haunted. One of the first things they find are two dolls. One is headless and the other has poked-in eyes, shaded black all around, as if someone was pressing down aggressively hard as they scribbled. It's not a welcoming sign, but could just be the work of some edgy teens, or maybe even someone in their own group, so they press on. Across from the dolls is this picture of a Russian team all huddled around a strange object in the center. I don't know what this is in the middle, so someone help me out because it might be a clue. I assume this was a picture of the kids who used to come here before the meltdown. Who knows how many, if any, actually made it to adulthood due to the radioactive exposure. Immediately behind the photo is a creepy old picture of a Russian woman in full uniform crying. I don't understand the significance of this picture, but I feel like they are saying something important here. So translate this part from Russian to English if you can. After a while, it becomes apparent that they are all being watched. These white eyes first appear on the other side of a window at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I thought it was just his light, until I realized the light is hitting his chest and shouldn't be visible behind him at all. And here at 3 minutes and 52 seconds, the eyes appear again in a doorway, much closer. It's just for a split second, but I mean, whose flashlight looks like that? Nobody's that I know. Those look like eyes for sure, glowing ones at that. They come across a portion of building they've explored before, but this time the door is partially opened, so they cautiously step inside. The first thing I noticed were these floating eyes at 7 minutes and 56 seconds. They look exactly the same size and shape as the ones before, but what they saw was the top of someone's head, someone incredibly tall and standing totally still. Standing motionless is a figure with a blacked out face and long white garbs. They run away and soon encounter it again. Its white clothes somewhat resemble the doll clothes we saw earlier. Could that have been a warning? When it gets close to them, it seems shorter than before, but impossibly broad-shouldered and powerful looking. I don't know why they let it get this close, but I guess they were frozen in place from fear and tired from running. I hope this was just a mannequin or something, but when it does this, I know it's far from a prop.
Да, Вадим, уйди назад.
The group retreats back inside, and now cornered eventually resorts to smashing through a window and takes a risk climbing through broken glass just to get away from whatever they just saw. So I think it's real. These guys are trying to communicate with a spirit at their clinic office, specifically Jen. To determine who they're talking to, they use flashlights.
We're gonna say, oh, I think it's cool with that. We're gonna say the alphabet, and whichever one your name is, can you please turn off the flashlight on that letter, okay?
When they arrive at J,
H, I, J,
Jen. Yeah, it's Jen, I think, or something tied to Jen. It has to.
but another flashlight is directed by a second spirit.
Another one, right? That's a different spirit. Okay. K, L, M, N. Okay.
They're trying to figure out which of the spirits wrote the note or were somehow connected to it.
If you're not connected to it, turn off your flashlight. Daniel's not connected to it.
So Jen is.
So Jen is.
I knew it.
And finally, they ask Jen,
Jen, were you the one that wrote the note? Oh. Wait, but she's connected to it, so she didn't
You know
write.
who wrote the note? Were you here when they wrote the note?
although the Redditor doesn't explain in the comments what note he's asking the spirits about. According to him, Nathaniel once scratched him. I'm really not sure if he should be keeping the lines of communication open with an entity this aggressive. Nothing is more terrifying than surveillance footage of an event, especially one that ends human life. This video footage shows 3 suspects involved in a double life-taking in South Ogden, Utah. Surveillance footage surrounding the scene of the event captured 2 suspects peering through the home's windows and later a masked man fleeing the scene. All 3 suspects were wearing hard plastic masks. According to several news articles documenting the event, police believe the incident was not random, but targeted, and that the suspects were familiar with both the people in their home. South Ogden Police Chief Darren Park noted that while reports of a loud party had been made to police, he asked any witnesses to come forward and said in a statement that he hoped the families of the people will gain some closure. Multiple surveillance cameras caught the suspects scoping out the home. One suspect was wearing a mask, while the 2 others wore opaque plastic masks as they approached. One camera showed a suspect crouched down, watching the home for a while, after which the second suspect and later the third joined in. A second camera caught them peering into the home's windows. Following the event, one of the men was seen on a third camera hopping over a fence. As of the latest update found online, dated March 2019 by ABC4, the double life-taking remains unsolved. More has been pieced together of the night's events, including the fact that 3 of the Van Komen brothers lived in the home, while the unfortunate older neighbor, Kevin Nelson, had just dropped by when the event occurred. Once 2 of the Van Komen brothers left to pick up some food, leaving just one and one other roommate inside, the strangers seized the opportunity to enter. The brothers were gone for no more than 10 minutes, and when they returned, they found Kyle passed away on the floor. Van Komen's mother, Renee Finch, said of the footage, "I think that it's creepy that they're out there watching." Adding later, "We're very thankful we didn't lose all 3 of our boys that night." Nelson's nephew, Ralph Nelson Jr., also said of his uncle that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, a feeling echoed by Finch, who doesn't know why her son might be targeted. There was no clear motive for the double life-taking, which is likely why the trail remains cold today, despite over 70 people being questioned over the past 3 years. Unsolved mysteries are inherently terrifying, and the coldness of this case compounds that fear. If you saw this on your home security camera, what would you think? According to Johnny Smither 333, who posted the video to the Ghosts subreddit, the strange capture came from his living room's motion detection camera. Whatever this flash is had enough presence to set off the camera, but it's unclear what that blur might be. While many in the comments say it's a bug, others like SPM Wiggy offers more creative suggestions. She writes, "It's a tiny witch on a matchstick. Clearly you can see the hat and the giant witch nose." Another Redditor suggests that it could be gremlins. The Redditor says that in slow motion, it looks like it appeared out of thin air. He also notes that as soon as it gets closer to the camera, it doesn't look like any bug he's seen. Have you seen a bug that looks like this? I know that's likely the culprit in cases of videos like this, but I definitely agree I've never seen a bug that looks like this before. Therefore, there's at least a reasonable chance this is truly paranormal. This leaked video was reportedly taken by 2 friends somewhere in the United States. Their dog Jake starts to bark with excitement and really doesn't seem to want to go any further. Watch how the animal crosses directly in front of their snowmobile multiple times, almost like he's warning them to stop and turn around. The 2 friends don't really think much of it and keep going straight, and that's when they come face to face with it. A nearby tall gray creature sends them racing away. The alien-like creature doesn't make much of a sound at all, or at least not one that the camera can pick up, but I do think I can see its head turn towards them at the 2-minute and 20-second mark. The way the dog is acting before this happens also makes me believe this leak video could be real. I'm not sure if a low-key jump scare is even possible, but I think I might have found one.
So what are you girls doing up there? She talking to you?
The dog looks over because if you look closely, its ear actually moves on its own, or more accurately, like it was grabbed by an invisible hand. The woman claims this was a ghost caught on camera, pulling her dog's ear, but I guess they could have tied a string around the ear. Here's a screenshot of the exact moment it happened at 4 seconds to help us better decide. Look at this small strip and tell me if this was a string or part of the dog's ear. I'm leaning towards fake on this one. It wouldn't be hard to tie a little piece of string around the fur, but with that said, I would appreciate any help confirming this analysis. Ghost hunting YouTuber D-Dog Michael finds what he's looking for in this terrifying video. As he explores this abandoned place, the sounds are undeniable.
저기요. 소리야? 누구 있죠?
He hears another noise, like murmuring.
무슨 소리야? 뭐라는 거야?
He then hears a snapping noise, like something walking, and for a moment he thinks he sees something.
어? 잠깐만 가지 잠깐만 와 다시 가지 말고.
Then there's a jingling right next to him. A series of unexplained events happen. Later in that same room, more mysterious things unfold.
조금만 둘러보고 나가겠습니다.
It almost sounds like he's choking. Things get darker from there.
에휴, 에휴.
Michael hears something, and then he sees it. Here it is again. There's definitely a shadow moving in the darkness. Is it a person or a spirit? My vote is for the latter, because I don't think I've ever seen a creepier house. This footage comes from somewhere in the Middle East. A group of teenagers are curiously exploring an old school. They go up a flight of steps and pause when they hear a dog whining on the other side of the door. They all run down the steps and gather at the bottom. They're afraid of being attacked by a group of stray dogs now, but they decide to press on and explore the lower areas. The group finds bravery in their numbers and begins to joke and laugh again as they make their way down a long hallway. They open a door and find graffiti on the wall. Other people had been here before them. Maybe this place isn't so bad after all. The teens grow a little more nervous as they continue to poke around. They are laughing less and starting to go silent. Something just isn't right about this section of the building. A YouTuber named Zabin Jaguar translated their comments. He says at this point one of the teens say that their phone shut itself off even though it was fully charged only a moment ago. Another person was able to keep recording, though they probably now wish they hadn't. They enter one classroom in particular and get a dreadful feeling. Suddenly a figure actually appears out of thin air and walks towards them. The ghost is missing his head, but there's somehow no blood. A loud chanting begins as soon as the ghost walks towards them, but this may be prayers from a nearby mosque. Amazingly, the group all appears to have missed the ghost, which explains why they calmly continue to keep exploring. They wouldn't see the apparition until much later, but when they did, they would never forget what was heading straight towards them in that room. A woman named Nesti Indigo seems to have formed a strong bond with the spirits of the forest in Indonesia. To prove this, she conducts a ceremony in an area where she's had some degree of success before.
Astagfirullahaladzim, 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 astagfirullahaladzim. Lihat ya teman-teman.
A fire somehow burns silently in the leaves without growing stronger or brighter.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim. Itu apa teman-teman? Api. Astagfirullahaladzim. Allahu Akbar.
Is this a controlled burn as part of a skit or true acknowledgement from the spirit world of her powers? Ordinarily, I wouldn't think so, but something is so genuinely creepy about this video that I'm not sure. Walking down an empty hallway can sometimes send shivers all over your body, especially when the hallway looks like this. Burglar from Washington in the US uploaded this spooky video in 2016. He says that his flat is upstairs, and he makes his way through this hallway in the middle of the night 6 days a week. The hallway in and of itself is spooky. The sound on top of it is nothing short of ominous. The noise certainly is thumping and rhythmic like music, but it's unclear what it is or where it's coming from. It gets louder as the uploader approaches the end of the hallway and the beginning of a new one. A new sound enters into the mix, like a heart pounding. While the thumping declines, the heart pounding remains. Then you hear some sort of haunting music enter in faintly, before it escalates the closer he gets to the elevator. The video of the hallway also distorts a bit. Your heart races as you anticipate a jump scare from something unknown, but when he pushes the elevator button, the audio disappears. What could this possibly be? I don't know if I want to know. A YouTuber named Adam Edwards is making a Disneyland vlog when suddenly something sinister decides to make an unwanted guest appearance behind him.
Hey guys, so today we're in Disneyland and I'm gonna look out the new ride.
Two hands reach out for him from behind a red curtain with long gnarled fingers. Adam quickly turns the corner and finds nothing where the hands just were. He goes back around the corner, and as soon as he starts talking, the hands return, yet when he checks again, nothing's there. I did notice that he never checks around the floor, so this could be a pre-planned prank. If that's the case, I'm guessing his friend was on the other side, and they ducked down as soon as Adam went around the corner. Still, let me know if you recognize this part of Disneyland, and if you've ever experienced anything similarly strange there. These strange sounds in the sky have never been properly explained. I found no less than 5 different incidents of the exact same grinding and humming metal on metal noise. Sometimes it comes from far away, like this one from Germany. And sometimes it echoes throughout the whole city, like this one from France. And sometimes it sounds like it's breaking directly overhead, like this one from Edmonton, Canada. But out of all of them, this recording from an unknown Spanish-speaking country is the clearest. These people are from around the world and obviously can't all know each other, yet each video is recorded between 2015 and 2016. I don't know if this is a warning, an experiment, or what, but I'm worried that one day we will find out. On January 8th, 2005, a professional diver named David Shaw was on an extraction mission to recover a missing individual named Dion Dreyer. David, having won numerous diving records in his career, many of them going great depths into caves, was confident in his abilities to locate this person. He was also with a team to help ensure his further safety. They run a line down the cave to help themselves move along, and keep from straying too far and getting lost. There's very little light down here. The line leads to Dion. At 3 minutes, they pass over this deflated dolphin that was on Dion's vessel as a joke. Now it's on the bottom of the sea cave floor. He is walking along the bottom and soon becomes hopelessly tangled in the line. He pulls and pulls, hoping to find a good place to cut, but his movements become slower as his oxygen runs out.
Okay, there he goes, he's moving on again. Now, he's breathing very hard.
I won't show the end, but sadly he did not make it out of the cave and passed in the darkness next to Dion. Let's never forget his valiant final dive and take a moment to recognize his bravery. It was his 333rd dive. This paranormal activity was caught on a camera that's displaying an incorrect time. A YouTuber named For Your Viewing Pleasure thinks they have caught a ghost on video sometime around 3 a.m., not 1:24 like the camera says. Regardless, some creepy moments have been caught on tape as their home CCTV system plays back a bizarre ghost-like in front of the camera. Another thing that's weird besides the ghost is how the background goes totally black for 6 seconds and then even stays black for 1 second after the ghost is no longer caught on tape. For Your Viewing Pleasure says they hope this is a bug, even though they think it's probably paranormal. One person suggested that he has not caught a ghost sighting on video, but a moth instead. These creepy moments caught on camera from 2 to 4 seconds do look like possible wings in motion when slowed down, but I'm not sure what to think. Both sides have good arguments, so take one final look and tell me if this looks like a paranormal security video to you or not. We've all encountered a Karen or two in our lives, but it's a rare occasion that we're faced with a Karen this far out of control. A ballistic individual was captured on video standing in the middle of an intersection, facing a bus, screaming at the top of her lungs. It's unclear what she's saying and why she's so angry. But what's become clear is that she's chosen to take her rage out on the bus. She targets the front window with her fist, shattering the glass. When she moves to the side door, what she's screaming is finally audible. She's telling someone to get off the bus. But whoever it is she's screaming at does not get off the bus, so she runs across the street, likely in order to escape prosecution for the damage done to public property. No further information could be found on this incident, so it's unknown what preceded the meltdown or followed it, if it was provoked, or why it escalated to this degree. Regardless, it seems like this went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. This rocket ride is a famous local attraction at the Luna Park in St. Petersburg, Russia. Here's what the ride looks like normally, and this is what it looks like after a cable frays to the point of snapping clean through. This angle clearly shows how close the riders are to plummeting hundreds of feet below. Look at the top of the ride. That cable to the left is the only thing keeping them alive. The tip of the ride is bending from the pressure and looks ready to come off. Rescue workers are eventually able to get everyone down to safety, though I'm not sure they felt anything but safe while dangling over 200 feet in the air with no end in sight. Police in Michigan need to find a woman who has fallen from a dock through the ice before it's too late. The officer comes across two fishermen holding on to a poor woman who fears for her life. If they let go, she's going under. There's little time left. She's freezing. Hypothermia is the name for a dangerous drop in body temperature. From prolonged exposure to cold, you can lose your life from it in as little as 5 minutes.
You got a hold of her?
Signs of hypothermia include red skin, fatigue,
Losing her strength.
and numbness.
Take a hand. Take the other one.
Completely numb.
So it's not looking good for her. Her core body temperature is lowering. Her organs are slowly turning off to preserve heat and protect the brain. They have one last chance to save her.
It's too hard. Come on. All right, stay right here. Stay right here.
I'm stuck.
Grab hold. 1, 2, 3. Up. Ah.
The The police take over and get the job done in moments. One of the fishermen, an older gentleman, is absolutely exhausted and unable to stand by the time it's through. He and his friend are absolute heroes for not letting go until the police arrived, which actually took 15 minutes but to them felt like 5. The woman later said she was starting to lose consciousness, a sure sign that she couldn't have withstanded much longer in that cold water. Hopefully we can all learn from the scariest moments of her life and always be careful when fishing on the dock. Had other people not been around to help, she would have been lost beneath the ice. A YouTuber named CTV911 is on his way to see the new Star Wars movie when the crowded mall elevator abruptly stops, leaving him stuck with other worried passengers. I can't exactly tell for sure, but I think one of them might be trying to force the doors open here, maybe to get more air into the elevator. Watch this part and let me know what you think they are trying to tell him not to do.
Hey, anybody up there?
It's getting unbearably hot in here.
Have you tried the phone again to let them know someone's going down?
I could only imagine what would have happened if he had managed to actually get the doors open. After about 9 minutes, one of the passengers breaks down and has a full-blown panic attack.
You don't have a medicine at all? Coming out.
It isn't until 40 minutes later that help finally arrives. Firefighters can't get the doors open, so they have to bust in through the top of the elevator. Their welcome entrance nonetheless sends shrapnel down on the waiting crowd.
Watch your eyes, guys. There's screws everywhere, too.
I'm still calling my lawyer.
Hey, can I have it? Yeah, you can have it. We don't want it.
Hey, we're trying to help.
They somehow squeeze a ladder into the elevator and send everyone up one by one. The YouTuber misses his movie but is glad he no longer has to spend another moment stuck in that cramped space. Sometimes that mysterious noise is your haunted ice maker. Other times things are even more chilling than they seem. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Oran Javi and originally posted to TikTok by Pershka. This one is sure icy. According to the TikToker, she was intending to capture a scary sound her ice machine kept making on camera, but instead she got a lot more than she bargained for. As she walks from the living room to the kitchen, for a split second while the lights are off, you see a little girl standing there in the darkness next to the ice machine. Watch carefully. It's just for the slightest of moments before the light flicks on and she disappears. The girl is pale and dressed in black with long black hair. She stands there motionless before vanishing into thin air with the light. Coupled with this is the eerie sound the ice machine truly was making. It sounds like the windy moans of a ghost. Tima2013 writes in the comments, I have that same ice machine. It does not make that sound. Yikes. Yikes is right. You never know who is waiting in the darkness for you. Bugs are awful on their own, but swarms of them. What a nightmare. Published to YouTube in June of 2018, Phelan Fairchild writes that mayflies swarm in from the lake every year and have to be snowplowed off roads and walkways. The video shows Fairchild's front desk absolutely littered with the bugs. At first you think they're a pile of fall leaves or other debris, but upon closer inspection, you can see, as Fairchild points out, hundreds of thousands of bugs all over the place. They're on the deck floor, on the front door, on the window, and on the entire exterior of this poor woman's house. Fairchild notes that the spiders are having a heyday with this. You can't look away from this creepy sight. Fairchild says that it stinks and will be hard to clean up. It's not noted where she lives, but mayflies do appear near fresh water and are signs of a healthy water ecosystem. Swarms like this one can last for up to a month. Seems like a summer holiday abroad is in order. A beautiful home built in 1934 turned ugly when in 2009, the real estate mogul who bought the home took his wife's life, claiming the woman went missing on a hike. A search began for his wife but turned up nothing. A year later, the man put a new addition on his home that raised enough suspicion for police to request a search warrant. They found the wife buried beneath the home. The man was given more than 20 years behind bars, and the house remains abandoned. Published by Dark Exploration Films, this walkthrough of the home is incredibly disturbing. Taking viewers through the grounds and inside the home, the explorer comes upon the hole in which the woman was buried.
Let's go into the room that everybody wants to see. So this room was added in 2009. And once the police found out about this construction, they were a little skeptical.
Many in the comments are bewildered that anyone could live in the home they buried their wife in without getting telltale-hearted to the point of insanity. Others feel a sense of darkness and foreboding and even a feeling of sadness there. Surely the woman's spirit remains. A YouTube channel called Sanders Fam has a bizarre sighting on their Tesla motion tracking equipment that they think is a paranormal ghost encounter. The dash icon displays a mysterious figure where none is to be found. Detecting invisible people is something their car has never done before, and is quite an odd coincidence considering they're passing through a cemetery at the time. It accurately detects two people a good distance away at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. It keeps happening on the same corner of the same block, the icon of someone riding a bike dashing away from them.
There it is.
They are getting creeped out and wonder what it is. That's when they realize around the corner is the final resting place of a YouTuber named Corey Lavery. They talk about him for a while, and then as they drive away,
There's nobody there.
Now he's walking that way.
something walks by his grave. Now that is certainly a strange series of events. World-famous athlete Lionel Messi was the world's highest-paid soccer player for 6 years straight, and before I get flooded with comments, let's all acknowledge the sport is called football everywhere else in the world besides North America. But Messi also has another distinction, being one of the only soccer players to have a paranormal moment caught on live television. He is doing an interview from home when this mysterious figure is seen in the window. This could be someone from the media, but there's only one problem. This seems to be an interview done over the computer, meaning no need for a television crew here. Messi doesn't seem fazed by the figure, so it might have been a family member or a friend in the room with him. With that said, the way they stand still as a statue the whole time has people wondering if this was a real ghost sighting video or not. If this were paranormal, I think he would have turned around, but unless he addresses the video, I guess we won't know for sure. Paranormal investigator Rochelle G goes exploring this haunted abandoned house and experiences what she calls decades of anger. Built in 1920, this place could never keep a family for more than a few years before something terrible happened to them. Police were always involved. Something about this house makes people upset, volatile. The longer they stay here, the worse it gets. Rochelle can feel the paranormal energy as soon as she sets foot within this haunted place. Abandoned are the families, but not their memories or their presence. She finds a room that's creepier than the others, one that's been barricaded from the inside. Listen closely. What you're about to hear is one of the scariest EVPs ever caught on camera. Somebody has pushed a dresser under the knob of this door, like they wanted to keep a family member from coming in to get them. When Rochelle opens the door, a creepy, disembodied voice floats in her ear and whispers, "Hey." This room looks like a remodeled front porch that was only halfway finished before the family vacated. Above her is an unfinished attic space that makes many people feel creeped out. There's no way to get up there, so she keeps exploring this room and finds more creepy things caught on camera. Dozens of family photos next to an old blue chair. Leaving family photos is weird enough, But why in a giant unorganized pile? It looks like somebody thumbed through them one by one while sitting on the chair, perhaps looking at pictures of their family members one last time while waiting for the police to arrive. It's a creepy thought and we'll never know the real explanation, and when Rochelle tries to communicate, the spirits are too angry to cooperate.
Do you need help?
If this video is real, and I think it is, then this is one haunted abandoned house that should have stayed hidden. I doubt anything good happens to those who dare go exploring its hateful walls. Most ghosts don't ask for permission, they just let themselves in. Published in January of 2022, Amitav Paranormal Tech YT writes that during her last live stream, her REM pod activated, so she decided to leave some equipment on during the night. She also left her security cameras on. Here's what they captured. The door of the room swings open, apparently letting no one in. A light to the side on a table then turns on and blinking can be seen throughout the room. What just let itself in? Is it something to be feared? Either way, it definitely wants itself to be known. Heads up, it's watching. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Nimrose. Something demonic is peeking out from behind this tree. A woman is walking down a forest path at night in Sweden, but she doesn't notice that she's not alone. Look to the right of the tree. A creepy long-haired demon-like figure peeks out for a split second before hiding itself again. I'm surprised it didn't snatch her when she walked past. Some in the comments are saying it was Krampus, the terrifying horned Christmas demon from European folklore. Others think it's a person in a mask. Still, others are more distracted by the eyes that pop out at the base of the tree at nearly the same time as the demon. Well, that can be explained away as a raccoon or other animal. What about the demon person? Any theories? This ghost is trying to bum a ride. Posted by Ghost Videos in July of 2020. A man was driving in Johor, Malaysia when he crossed paths with a hitchhiking spirit. The dashcam footage shows a dark, empty room at night. According to the timestamp, it's around 2 in the morning in July of 2019. As the car barrels down the road, a semi-transparent figure appears in the dark lane on the right. You can barely make out the apparition as it holds out its thumb to catch a ride. What do you think? A live person half hidden in the darkness? Hitchhiking in the darkness of night? If so, what is the spirit's destination? We may never know. Ghostly girls are enough to scare a pack of boys at night. Published by L. Kevin in November of 2017. The title in Spanish reads, "A ghost girl gets out in Mexico's Pantheon." The video begins with a bunch of guys running off and shining a flashlight towards some trees. It's unclear what they've seen there, but they start shouting in Spanish over towards that area. One of them carries a large stick, likely as protection to use against whatever they saw there. As they continue to shout, the camera moves to one of the guys who's sitting on the ground, and when it turns back up again to the spot, there's a shadowy figure on the wall of the building. It appears to be a long-haired girl with her head tilted. They start walking away down a side road. Then one of them starts shouting and they all start running. Although it's unclear what they saw, whatever it was must have been frightening enough to hop a fence to escape. As E. Mendez in the video's comments wrote, "The one who searches finds." These boys found what they were looking for. I bet they won't dare search again. According to this paranormal investigator, a genie cursed him in his own voice. Let's enter this haunted home. While speaking to the spirits of the place, he hears an EVP.
Buradaki varlık kendini belli etsin. Bir işaret versin. Buradaki yaşayan insanları kaçıran varlık kendini belli etsin.
When he walks into the kitchen, something disturbing happens. And then the spirit gets aggressive, but nothing is inside the room.
Bana bir şey yapmışsın.
When he enters the bedroom, he sees it. But as he gets closer and closer, is this a magic trick? Well, it could be the genie himself performing a practical joke. I could also see how this could be faked, but then again, the knocking. Only a genie could disappear like this. A live ceremony in France starts out normal enough until 7 minutes and 11 seconds when an object moves on its own like a ghost is about to throw it. The object levitates until the clergyman puts his hands down, at which point it stops. This happened on live TV in front of thousands, so someone tell me how it could be fake. Stranger still, a man in the audience claims to have seen a supernatural apparition in the dark doorway, a ghostly figure with a white face and hair who watches the ceremony from afar. The full version of this video has never been put online, to my knowledge, but this picture apparently shows the figure. I think there is a good chance that it is Photoshop, but it looks creepy and is worth mentioning. So if anyone out there is good with Photoshop, then let me know if this is a real picture, or if this scary face was edited. A truck driver checks his mirror just in time to see a dusty road hazard swirling his way. Try and translate this part, because I would love to hear his initial reaction word for word. The mini tornado dances all around and blocks the only exit. Getting out and running is probably not a good option because it could randomly change direction and come barreling his way. Now all he can do is stay inside and hope it doesn't move forward another 10 feet and rip off his door, which it looks strong enough to do. If you doubt its power, this bent streetlight says otherwise. After less than a minute, the tornado of dust dissipates moments before, raging through somebody's front door. We like to think that we'd somehow remain in control of any emergency, but all of this was random. His survival was based far more on chances than choices. This one is a head scratcher. Redditor Nikki Nabs explains that her dad was in a local pub when something unusual happened. Watch the guy's shoelace. Did you see that? It looks like something undid his shoelace. Some in the comments say the lace was stuck under his left foot and the shoe untied when he moved his right foot. Is that what you're seeing here? I think they might be right. Then again, a mischievous specter would be more fun. A ghost sighting in Jacksonville, Florida, leaves one man certain he has evidence of the paranormal.
It's not a tree.
A strangely human-shaped figure emits a strange glow. It could be pretty much anything from this far away. Approaching headlights against a tree comes to mind, but he's adamant that it's not a tree. He's too scared to drive any closer, so the video ends. I can't be the only one who wishes he would have gotten closer, but I understand why he wanted to get the heck out of there. 99% of us would have done the same, and if not, then I guess you're braver than most. When ghosts just won't leave you alone, what more can you do but investigate? Published to YouTube by Ghosts of Carmel, Maine. In December of 2017, this 4-part paranormal series has it all. In the first video, the homeowner explains that the ghosts in his home just won't leave him be. He welcomes the good ghosts to stay, but the activity has skyrocketed.
Not the one that's saying it. Hello? Is anybody in here?
He says they're constantly saying his name. In the first video, while running the spirit box, the spirit tells him, "It's me." When he asks who's in here, the spirit says, "Just you, Kent." The spirit also tells him, "It's my house, I need help, Rachel's in trouble." All throughout the clip, he hears other EVPs and disembodied voices, even without using the spirit box. In parts 2, 3, and 4, as the investigation continues, he and his wife regularly hear disembodied voices throughout the home. Often the voice cusses, tells Kent to get out of there, asks for help, or tells him to be careful. When he's in the room with what he calls the witch's window, the spirit is even more vocal. It says, "We're not done, they're all weak." Kent also sees faces in the porch window, which he believes are spirits. After listening to all this, it's not a stretch to think that something bad happened in this house. And could that be what is causing the paranormal events that are happening in this house? Once done a harmless face swap, but what happens when the swap becomes scary? Posted by Primal Chaos and later submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This face swap between friends took a dark turn when one of the friends left the frame, only to allow a terrifying invisible being to swap faces with the remaining friend. The scary swapped face looks demon-like, causing the dude whose face it swapped to turn around and look for the paranormal being he's been partnered with. Many in the comments of this video find this unpleasant and unexpected swap upsetting. If this happened in a dream, what might it mean? Perhaps that your dream has taken a step in another direction. That's of a nightmare. Adam McIntyre travels from Ireland to London to investigate the Woodrow High House, a house said to be haunted by the grieving ghost of a widow named Lady Helena Stanhope, who has been endlessly roaming these hallways since the 1600s. Adam and his ghost hunting pals think they encounter the spirit lady haunting this hallway, and I think they could be right.
And immediately the door starts like opening and closing.
Yeah. No, I'm actually scared.
Wait. There's literally no draft here. Wait. I don't like it. Don't scream. Oh my god.
Adam is freaking out because a ghost is slamming doors in the same hallway where he will be spending the night. He mentions Helena nicely by name, treating her like a person rather than a sideshow attraction.
This is my bedroom corridor, so I don't want her, like, Helena.
And Helena the ghost responds by closing the door gently instead of slamming it shut like before. The three of them are really scared, so they don't go right away, but they do briefly explore the room from the door, and I don't see anyone standing there. As they stand breathlessly outside, it becomes more than apparent that an apparition does not want to let them in. Finally, the nervous trio works up the courage to enter the haunted room and conduct a little paranormal experiment of their own for more evidence. They lock the door to prove that it really is slamming the door and not a draft. After a while,
like proper lock it. Oh, is it the wind, Caitlin? Is it the wind?
Unfortunately, Adam's head is blocking the lock when it happens, so we never get to see how the ghost manages to open the door, or if it was one of them all along. A crowd gathers to sing in front of a statue. After a while, her mouth begins to move as she mouths the words of the song with them. Over 100 people agree that they can clearly see the statue blink and sing with joy. I would have liked to have seen this happen with a high-resolution camera. Until then, I think that this was probably just video grain, creating the appearance of movement. There seems to be many surprises for new renters or homeowners in these clips. YouTuber Dempsey7 also recently moved into this apartment. He said he rented the place without viewing it because it looked nice and the rent was low, but when he got there, he realized why it was so cheap. There are really high ceilings like a 19th century monastery in the middle of England, he said. He then takes viewers on a tour through the apartment. There are mirrors all over. All of this is nothing compared to what he found just outside the bathroom. Carved into the floorboards, you can clearly see a hatch in the floor, kitted out with a handle. Dempsey7 says he figured it was a bit of underground storage. He lifts the lid up, and it does appear to be a storage space, that is until you look beyond the surface and see that the space expands below pretty deeply. Dempsey7 guides viewers down stone stairs that lead into what he calls a dungeon. There's a corridor heading off ahead, lots of stones and discarded brick and wiring. There is a room to the right, directly below Dempsey7's apartment. On the wall is graffiti that reads, CCFC OK, judging from the flooring. Dempsey7 believes it used to be a burial ground. He heads down the corridor. Most of the dungeon is piled with rubbish, dirt, and old brick. He finds a newspaper dating back to 1984. He finds what looks like an old front door. Did someone used to live here? Or perhaps the house was built over an older existing foundation? Whatever the case, a dungeon is one secret room I wouldn't want to find in my new home. Barry is positive that a spirit is moving around stuff in his house, so he takes a random object, puts it in the middle of the floor. This cat toy is remote controlled, so he puts the controller next to the toy to show that he is not messing with it at all. Nothing happens until almost 4 minutes into the video.
Okay.
Then nothing else happens until another 4 minutes later when suddenly there's a second burst of movement. When it moves on its own a third time, Barry is confident that he has gathered enough evidence and stops recording. My only explanation is that Barry actually has 2 of these cat toys and was holding a second remote controller in his hands. However, you can just tell by looking at the controller that the big plastic buttons would probably make a loud clicking noise when pressed. Yet I never hear the button being pressed at all. Well, I think there's a good chance that this is real. Maybe Barry could record this again while showing himself in a mirror, just so we can see there is nothing in his hands. A man finds himself trapped on the 30th floor of the Shinjuku Center building in Tokyo after the entire city was rocked by a 9.1 quake. Now nowhere is safe and there is nothing left to do except to record as doors and cabinets swing open uncontrollably and the entire building shakes.
오! 아버네! 맞아, 아버네! 맞아, 아버네!
Everything grows eerily silent, and then this voice cuts through the speakers. There is a lot of frantic chatter in the background, so I think it was a live broadcast, not a recording. Try and translate if you can, because if you were there, your life may have very well have depended on following these instructions.
こちらは防災センターです。ただいま大きな地震を感じました。この建物は地震に対して安全な設計になっております。
After a while, the speakers turn off, and the guest hopelessly watches as the buildings sway like trees. It's kind of hard to see what I'm talking about because the building he's in is shaking too. This second video taken near the top floor of the Shinjuku Center building shows how bad the shaking really was. The buildings look like they are going to topple at any moment, but they are actually designed to be incredibly flexible and can withstand intense vibrations. Keep in mind that these are just the smaller aftershocks and not the actual quake itself, which was, believe it or not, much worse. A YouTuber named Captain Bob Hartzell finds himself in the sea caves of Devil's Island in Wisconsin when he feels uneasy and decides to start recording. Watch this part and tell me if you see something strange in the distance. A vaguely human outline can be seen standing directly in front of him. I guess this could just be a small cave opening, but this island is rumored to be haunted by numerous spirits and even a cave monster, so anything is possible. All I know for sure is that Bob feels like he is not alone, starts recording wildly, and manages to capture a silhouette roughly the same size and shape of a human. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Master Allen73, this redditor wrote, "Me and my girlfriend are asleep at 3:55 a.m. when the door closes on its own. There is a door stopper holding it in place. I'm always very skeptical of the paranormal and other footage I have captured, but this one..." Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about. There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. ASAP Rab wrote, "I'm sure you've noticed, but just after 31 seconds, there's some kind of particle or orb going straight up near the bathroom entrance. Creepy footage." And the uploader replied saying, "Honestly, I had not noticed it. I'd been concentrating on the door looking for shadows." While TCG Games wrote, "How many days do you wake up and your door is closed? Was the heater or the air conditioner on? Has this happened in the past?" And the uploader replied saying no, this was the first time in 8 months. With or without the AC running, it's never closed on its own. Can you think of any other explanation for this footage? I think there's a good chance there's a ghost also in this bedroom. A YouTuber named Kosh decides to do a social experiment and fake his own disappearance for 7 days just to see what happens. To do this, he cuts off all contact from the outside world, aside from a friend who is reporting back everyone's reaction. No one messages him for a while, but after about 4 days, his friends and family start sending him curious messages with a tinge of worry. 7 days pass and he learns that one of his friends has called the cops, so he decides to pay his parents a visit before the cops find him first. Here's his mother's worried response. It looks like she has been missing sleep and I can't help but feel bad for her. Look at her face and tell me if you think Kosh is taking it too far. Either way, you can tell by the mixture of worry and relief in her voice that this social experiment is absolutely real.
Where's the light?
Oh my god. Don't do that again.
Why were you worried?
Well, this is certainly an interesting and suspenseful video. I'm not sure what Kosh expected to gain from this experiment besides attention. After all, I think most people already know how their friends and family would react if they suddenly went missing, but maybe I'm missing the point. Some things are urban myth, then again some myths and legends have some basis in reality. Published to YouTube in June of 2007 by Heather Stone, the video shows Crybaby Bridge on Burroughs Road in Livonia, Georgia. Apparently there are several Crybaby Bridges in the state of Georgia. They're a thing of legend. This is one of those legends. Don't be fooled by the modern concrete bridge linking the county's 2 sides. The old iron bridge still stands alongside it, and that's where the haunting happens. The video shows a group of friends investigating the local legend. According to the video, the story goes that a new mother was riding home in a carriage with her newborn baby, and as they crossed the bridge, the horse became spooked. He jumped up, causing the carriage to tip over, and the occupants both lost their lives. From there, you might hear a baby cry or haunting horse hooves on the road, or you might just see the woman in white searching for her baby over the bridge. When you come near her, she disappears. Will the group see any of this? You're about to find out. The group arrives on the bridge, exits the vehicle, and one of the girls screams the necessary words.
What? Go for it, Tiffany. Yeah, sure, you can do it.
Feel your baby, lady!
A moment later, you can hear the car doors lock. The car alarm then goes off and sounds as though it's going haywire.
What? What? What's going on? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh! Oh, you are kidding! Oh my gosh! Get in the car!
They all clamber back into the vehicle, and as the driver is attempting to turn on the lights, you see the figure of a woman flash into view ahead on the bridge. Screaming ensues, lots of it.
Oh my god! Oh, turn on the lights! Turn on the lights! Turn on the lights!
Although there are plenty of naysayers in the comments, at least to attest to the validity of these girls' claims. Brandon Childs notes, I live over here by this. You get used to hearing screaming girls and sometimes guys in the middle of the night, but I do believe there's something about that bridge. Weird stuff, man. Weird is an understatement. Nadeem Shah suspects he's caught some paranormal things on video when he goes exploring an abandoned building that is little more than pillars in the dark. He suspects a place this creepy has to be haunted, and the ghost hunter's instincts are not wrong.
हम देखते हैं अगर हमें कोई यहाँ पे भारी चीज़ या कोई जिनों का साया नज़र आता है कि नहीं। हम जिन की तलाश में निकल तो ओह नाजरीन ये कुछ हिलता हुआ हमें नज़र आया है। तो ये आवाज़ें कैसी आ रही हैं? आए नाजरीन हम हिम्मत करके वहाँ जाने की कोशिश करते।
2 ghost sightings are enough for Nadeem. He needs a paranormal encounter up close to be fully convinced. He follows the ghost into the darkness for one final sighting.
इसको देखते हैं ये कौन सी मखलूक है, क्या चीज़ है। इसको हम पकड़ने की कोशिश करते हैं। ये इस तरफ से नजर आ रही है, इधर से हम जाने की कोशिश कर।
He's all alone when a slow-moving shadow figure glides across the pillar without making a sound. It's not someone walking behind him either, because Nadeem would already be blocking out the light himself. It's a real ghost sighting as far as I'm concerned. A paranormal entity, a moving shadow that deeply creeps him out and sends him on his way. Enough said. Built in the 1800s, the historic Jefferson Hotel in Jefferson, Texas is haunted as can be. Every once in a while, it's not uncommon for a guest or two to complain about hearing voices at night or feeling a hand grazed by their cheek while dozing off. The owner of the hotel is doing some remodeling and walks past a door that suddenly opens all by itself. He says that the door was securely shut and that he actually heard it unlock before it opened. The scary CCTV video does in fact show him turning around a second before the door opens, so his story indeed checks out, but that's not even the scariest moments caught on camera by him. This is way worse. Creepy video of the same hallway on a different night depicts a dark shadow passing over the green door at the far end, a room where most of the activity takes place besides this hall, and when it does so, the lamp turns off on its own. Considering a jilted bride once took her life here, and the spirits of countless children are known to play tricks, this bizarre shadow person could be any of the usual suspects. I believe this ghost video's real simply based on the hotel's legendary haunted status alone. With videos this creepy, it's a wonder anyone would want to stay here for long, unless they were purposefully trying to get scared. If you think you're safe in your own home, think again. Posted by Call Me Ace here to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the Redditor explains, this is a video of a random guy walking up to my brother's home in Houston, Texas. The stranger flashed their flashlight through my brother's front door window and camera. The video shows a man possibly casing the place, If that is what he's doing, he isn't taking many precautions, as he's not wearing a mask of any kind to hide his identity, nor does he take any notice at first of the security camera that's caught him red-handed. If he was trying to fly under the radar, he's doing a terrible job at it. Not only does he flash a flashlight directly into the potential target's home, but he looks squarely into the security camera, capturing his headshot straight on, right before shining the flashlight into the camera's face too. Redditor Stark Burrito asks, was he pointing the flashlight into the camera to obscure himself? Bit late, buddy. Other Redditors recommended that the homeowner alert other neighbors to the incident, as well as the neighborhood watch and local authorities. It might prevent the unknown person from taking this further. While you may not have to worry about those you know entering into your home, you should definitely worry about randos. Roosevelt High is a school in St. Louis, Missouri, rumored to have been built on top of an old graveyard long ago. Now, a paranormal investigator named Soul Searching stands by the bleachers of a football field with a spirit box to find out if people were buried here like the local legends say.
Are there any spirits here?
4 seconds later, this voice comes through with a strong reply. When asked how it feels, the same voice replies with a flat answer that lacks all emotion, which I guess underscores its bleak point.
Are you upset?
I'm showing this so you can hear for yourself that all of the answers make sense and they're all coming from the same voice, so I think this is real. The final answer pretty much confirms it.
Is your body still here?
But just to be sure, Soul Searching moves on to the school itself, where a spirit confirms its presence when asked to do so.
Oh, that was a yep.
Here's the only part I'm not so sure about.
Can you turn the lights on now? It wasn't on before.
Soul Searching thinks the lights are off, but I think they may have been on the whole time. It's hard to tell though, so I will give her the benefit of the doubt that the light came on by itself, especially given how much paranormal activity was on the football field earlier. Have you ever heard something in nature that doesn't sound natural at all? This video is cross-posted by Cursed Curses to the Chills Narrator subreddit, who thought these sounds were weird enough to share. Originally posted to What Is This by Sir M Sport, the Redditor explains that the strange sound seems to be originating from the woods and the sky surrounding his house in rural Georgia. He said although his phone ran out of battery, he heard the sounds long after the recording ends. The user asks the Reddit community for help in identifying the source of these sounds, after asking a few of his neighbors, who said they hadn't heard such noises before. One of these neighbors, who lives on a hill, said the sounds definitely seem to be coming directly from the sky. Listen closely. The noises sound like irregular high-speed traffic for a moment. But then another tone enters in, like a spaceship door opening. The murmur continues, oscillating slightly. There are many theories in the comments, with Wolfish Fluff coming up with one of the most likely theories, suggesting that it sounds like a power plant or generator farm. He notes the revving up sound could be the activation. He writes, "My guess is that there's one of these facilities somewhere in your area, and the sound is coming from the sky because you're far enough away that basically the sound is bouncing off the atmosphere and then traveling to you. This would cause the muffling and the distortion." Other less likely theories include alligators. unknown flying objects, or a big tunnel. Any other suggestions? What do you think these sounds may be? When this small plane's propeller stopped moving, it was forced to emergency land. We're now experiencing engine failure, says the man videotaping the event. If there's a place to land, we shall be okay. He speaks rather calmly considering their propeller froze mid-air. The sky around the hilly region appears murky, and there's clearly some strong wind tearing at the aircraft. Find a flat ground so that rescue vehicles can come in, the man says. He places all responsibility on the pilot, telling him it all relies on your experience now. The pair find a piece of land in the water to force landing upon, and again he emphasizes how they're all relying on the captain. The plane quickly descends and hits the ground with a thud. They strike a rock, but the pair lives. When they rather calmly land, the man videoing the incident thanks the captain for saving his life. The captain says he told someone this plane wasn't good to go. Urban exploration videos in abandoned places are perfect settings for ghost investigators to explore, but sometimes they find more paranormal activity than they are ready for, and that's when their paranormal investigation becomes mysterious, unexplained, and most of all, really creepy. This YouTuber is exploring an abandoned building when they hear some potentially paranormal poltergeist activity coming from upstairs.
These are all the stacked bathrooms. Here's a dinosaur. Alright, Kobe, I'm throwing this in the toilet.
As they slowly climb the steps, the first thing they notice is how much darker it is up here. The last thing they notice is the poltergeist that comes straight at them and then disappears.
We should definitely go one at a time.
Absolutely nothing is there at 1 minute and 24 seconds, and then you see its head, and then something out of my nightmares is dragging itself across the floor. A bizarre dashcam video has caught some weird moments on the highway in Puerto Rico. This driver has their door open while going full speed. It looks like they've somehow forgotten to close it until 22 seconds, when a hand reaches over to make sure it doesn't fly all the way open during a turn. I guess the door was broken or something, in which case they really should pull over, because that is incredibly unsafe. Hopefully they never have to make a sharp turn, or else somebody is spilling out onto the road. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Polaris9114, this redditor wrote, "My dad and I saw this happening not far from our house. We saw frequent lightning strikes in the clouds, yet there is no sound from the lightning whatsoever. And I have never seen anything like this in my life." Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about.
Do you guys happen to know what this could be? 'Cause we sure as heck don't. Is Darth Sidious mad or something? We need answers, and preferably before our house gets struck with lightning.
In the comments, Shabby Kitten Rebel wrote, "Could be heat lightning," while Muram Wins wrote, "How'd it happen last night here? The sky all around looked like that for a couple hours, and suddenly a huge hailstorm hit that was super loud through the house, and the street was a little flooded, so it appears that regardless of the lack of storm noise, commenters seem to be in agreement that it's still storm related. Do you think that's the case? Let me know in the comments." A Reddit user named Miss Doolittle Tex posted some really creepy things caught on camera for the Chills Narrator subreddit to analyze. A man with shifty eyes and an odd expression walks to her front door and doesn't ring it, just stands there confused. He thinks about doing who knows what next and then decides against it. He leaves her door but not her property, going on to walk around the perimeter and crossing into a neighbor's backyard without permission. He returns a short while later, running away and full of energy. Only he knows what he did for sure or how bad it was. Miss Doolittle Tex calls the police to make a report, and based on this video evidence, I think she was absolutely in the right to do so. There's no reason for him to be creeping around like that. and it's good to get everything documented early in case things get even weirder in the future. Besides, I would want my neighbor to look out for me in the same way as I do for them. This creepy encounter was posted to Reddit by Ghosty Phase. A Ring doorbell camera captured a young woman's stalker. The woman says she was followed home from Walmart and her stalker showed up on her doorstep. At first, the man appears to be looking for his own keys, but then he fails to find any and peers around the corner of the house. Many are wondering if the creep left something for his victim. Although we can agree that this is beyond creepy and edging into full-on horror, I do think this footage reminds us not to trust anyone. You never know when you could cross paths with someone like this. What on earth is this creature? Nair BR writes of this bizarre sighting on camera. This strange creature got caught up in strong winds and his wife was cleaning when it blew into the house. I was thinking it might be a territorial dispute between two insects, but as it unravels at 2 minutes and 25 seconds, it looks like one big creepy squirming oddity. The way it moves is unlike a snake or a worm or anything I've really seen before. It looks just as confused of us as we are of it, forming strange spiral shapes as it tumbles about, reaching out for something to grab onto. A host perhaps. Whatever it is, it looks like something that crawls straight up your nose and takes over your brain. A parasite moving on to its next victim. Now that I've seen it, much like Nair BR, I want to know what on earth this creature is, and so I turn to you for an explanation. Sometimes when you're horsing around on TikTok, you capture something you'd least expect. Shannon Brianna claims to have caught a ghost on camera. The clip shows an animated avatar doing a little dance, excited to go to bed, but watch this picture in the mirror. A shadow crosses its path, making the otherwise innocent scene wholly unnerving. Was someone in the room with Shannon? Was that a shadow figure or just a regular old ghost? Whatever it is, not sure if I'd be so excited to go to bed after seeing a creepy shadow across my bedroom wall. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.